guys, it is Jessica and I am an SLP in the Dallas area, and I am so glad that you are here and that you have found my channel. So welcome here. And I really truly hope that as you browse the content here that you find some value and that I help make your SLP life just a little bit easier. Anyways, today I am going to share some of my best back to school SLP tips and tricks. So the goal of this video is just to help you kind of get in the right mindset and get geared up and ready for back to school. So here are a few of my best tricks to kind of help ease you in that transition from the summer where, let's be honest, it's a lot less chaotic, into the school year where yes, it's more chaotic, but we have a lot of really cool opportunities to help serve our students. So anyways, let's get started with my back to school tips for SLPs. Whenever I have a to-do list, I always start with the easiest thing and then I work my way into the hardest thing. So whatever task I find easiest, that's where I start. And I find once I kind of get moving through my list and I get in a groove, then it's much easier to make my way to the harder things on the list. So that is the same motto I'm going to take with this back to school list. We're going to start with the really easy things that you can just bam, 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 cross off your list. And then we'll work our way up to some of the harder tasks. Are you ready? Let's go. Okay, task number one, easiest on the list, is going to be to restock your supplies. So for me, I need to restock things like my tongue depressors and my dum dum suckers, my fun dip, and my Starburst. Those are all things that I use a lot all year long because I use them to help students learn the parts of their tongue. I have found that if I spend a lot of time before using like a tongue depressor or a dum dum or fun dip as a tactile cue to like say, okay, here's the front, the tip, and the back, and the sides. And I really give them, these are the little flavored ones from Super Duper, but if I really give them that, sorry, got tongue depressor in my mouth. But if I give them that tactile cue, it helps them to understand better where to place their tongue. So I spend several sessions using this with my mouth puppet and all kinds of other things to really teach them how to feel the parts of their tongue before I even start teaching them how to make their sound. So I restock these in addition to using them like crazy. When they sit in I have them in a plastic box, and when they sit in that plastic box all summer, it gets really hot and it gets really funky and the candy gets a funky taste and it's just kind of nasty. So tip number one, restock your supplies. Also, if I didn't say dry erase markers, I use those like crazy. I just actually had to restock mine this summer. Sticky notes are also on my list, maybe bingo dabbers if your crayons are all broken, your glue sticks are dried out. Just think through all of those things, your Play-Doh that gets yucky at the end of the year, make a list of it, add it to your Amazon list or your Alexa shopping list, whatever, however you manage your stuff. That is tip number one, get your supplies ready. Okay, tip number two is to browse TPT and start thinking about what you will need for your classroom for next year. And the reason I say browse and not shop is because there's always a back to school sale in August, usually in August. I don't know, they never tell you exactly when it's gonna be, and I've never been one of those people to just like be like, I think it's this week. I don't know. I do know there will be one. So keep your eyes open, and almost every seller participates in it. You'll get 25% off. So that's why I say browse. Look now and think with a strategy. Okay, what do I really need for this year that I want to buy on sale? So I've got a few tips and tricks for things that I buy on TPT. I am very picky with A, what I create to put on TPT because I want it to meet this criteria, and B, what I will spend my own money on TPT because it's my hard-earned money. I mean, I don't want to just like throw it away on useless garbage. So here's what I do. I am always in need of articulation activities. Always. I feel like we go through them like crazy. And they can be kind of expensive if you get too many of them. So I'm always looking for unique and engaging articulation activities. So I don't really like the ones that all kind of look the same, where you just like cut out a picture and then glue it on another picture, or the little dabber activities. Those are really easy and you can make those yourself for like nothing, and they don't take that long. I like ones where I can see the person who's selling it has like a really good creative like idea, and it's different and it's unique. Those are the things I will spend my money on, and they have to fit a wide range of goals. So that would be my articulation thing. If you find yourself, if you also are needing articulation stuff like that, I actually have a set of articulation reading passages in my store that I personally believe fit all of that criteria. They're for all of the later sounds. You get multiple reading passages for sounds, and they're like my bestseller, and I always get a lot of great feedback on it. So if you have students who are like hopping from sentences to conversation and you need like a middle level, check out my articulation reading passages. Put them in your wish list so that you can get them on sale. So browse, put it on your wish list. Okay. And I will link those reading passages in the description if you think, hey, I think these reading passages would really benefit my students. Put them in your wish list so you can get them on sale. Here's my other criteria. I don't feel confident in teaching all the things. I don't think any of us do. I feel pretty confident teaching articulation. I feel pretty confident teaching social skills. Those are kind of the two main things you'll find in my store. But you know what? I do not feel as confident teaching some language skills. So for example, I bought, I believe it was Speech Bubble, the Speech Bubble, has a like WH question curriculum. It was like $50 when I bought it, I think. And 5 years ago, I would never have spent that money on a resource. However, one of my new criteria is I will spend money on a resource that will make me a better teacher, that will make me a more confident teacher, because that's going to help me teach my students better, and my students are going to learn. So if I can spend $50 or however much money to be a confident teacher from here through X amount of time, and I can go into parents confidently and say, we've got a strategy, we've got a plan to teach this skill. So for me, it was WH questions. But maybe for you, it's social skills. Maybe you don't feel super confident teaching pragmatic language or social skills. I have a teaching guide that you might be interested in. It has things like how to teach conversation skills, how to teach friend-making skills, how to teach nonverbal communication, how to teach, I think maybe dating skills is in there. I do have a dating skills resource. So if this is you, you might want to check out my social skills teaching guide resource, and I'll link that in the description too, and put it on your wish list so that when the sale comes around, you can get it on sale. And then you will go into the next year being like, hey, I've got a plan. This is going to be a resource that's going to help me be a better teacher, and I'm going to be more confident, and I'm going to feel better. So that's worth spending your money on, in my opinion. So unique articulation activities. Will it make me a better teacher? Those are two big ones. Okay. Finally, sometimes we just need like those pain in the rear resources that are just a lot to make. We're capable of doing it, but maybe this will just save me a bunch of time. So one thing I think of in that genre is things like evaluation, informal evaluation check sheets, or guides, things like that, to help me do a more thorough evaluation that will give me more information on my students. So lots of sellers have different ones, some for language, some for older kids, some for younger kids, some for autism. I have an autism evaluation checklist, which I'll link. But I also have a whole pragmatic language, social communication, evaluation, informal evaluation. It's not just a checklist. It's got all kinds of stuff. Parent rating scale, teacher rating scale, observation checklist, pictures, like real pictures to help you check understanding of nonverbal language and perspective taking and emotions and idioms and jokes. So if you really have been struggling with evaluating social skills or social communication, I will link that in the description as well so that you can go put it in your wish list now and get it on sale at the back to school sale. If you happen to be watching this not before back to school, it'll be there at full price. So I will link for you in the description my articulation reading passages, that pragmatic informal evaluation, my Pragmatic language teaching guides, where I will guide you through the teaching process strategically of these social skills, and the autism evaluation checklist. Okay, number 3, the third thing that you need to do is to start prepping your first week activities and start getting them ready to go. We know that first week is rough. It's hard, especially for school-based SLPs. It's hard because we're still expected to be pulling kids or expected to make up those sessions that we miss, but teachers are establishing their protocols for their classrooms and their classroom routines, and we know that our students really need access to that, foundational teaching, and it just is, it's not great, but it is what it is. So think through that first week in your activities and have no expectations. Just don't have them. It's gonna not be a great week, and that's okay. Maybe your first week, you just want to read a book. One of the ones that I would recommend is No David. There's a back to school No David. That might be a really cute one just for that first week to kind of get everybody warmed up. But then your second week, or you could do this your first week, you want to have a really good resource that explains, a good lesson that explains, why do I come to speech? What am I working on? I still remember sitting at my kidney table. I had a group of 4 students. They were in about first grade. And one of them looks at me. He's like, Miss DeVault, why do I come to speech? And this was just a little articulation kid. And so I said, oh, so-and-so, you're working on your S sound. And, sometimes when you say it, it's a little hard for people to understand you. And that's what you're working on. And so he was like, oh, okay. And then he looks over at his friend, and his little friend was there for social skills. And he goes, but perfect articulation. Okay, but why does he come to speech? Oh, I still remember the fumbling as I tried to explain it. So that led me to create this resource that is all about why do I come to speech? And it explains that everybody comes to speech for different reasons. We all have different goals. And then if you want to break it down, further, it gives everybody a chance to understand, what am I working on when I come to speech? How can, I get better? How does speech work for whatever skill they have or that they're working on? And it explains, it just kind of helps answer that really uncomfortable, question, ugh. So that is in my store. That is my go-to grab and go first week of speech. It also talks about goals. So goal setting, why, what goals we're working on, so that as they come and they ask you again and again, why do I come to speech? Why do I come with you? You can say, oh, remember we talked about, these are your goals. You're working on this. And I love being able just to pull that back out hey, so-and-so, we've talked about this. Here we go. So if you want a really great first beginning of the school year resource that talks about goals, why I come to speech, and explains the different disorders in a very kid-friendly way, I will link that in the description as well, so you can check that out. Okay, number 4, get your systems ready. Think through your systems. I am a big fan of, actually I'm not a big fan. So here's the thing about me. I am a big idea person. I have a ton of ideas. I love to act on them really fast. I get so excited that I can't wait to say, for example, film a YouTube video. I just want to jump in and do it, and I'm so excited to get it done. But what I've learned is when I calm myself down and I think, okay, Jessica, think through this. What's going to be the best way to make this video? Step by step, think through the systems, think through the processes. It's going to turn out so much better. So that's what I'm going to encourage you to do for step number 4. Think through your systems. So here are some systems that you might want to think through. How am I going to collect my data? How am I going to send home homework? How am I going to collaborate with other teachers? Who are the other teachers? Are there new teachers? Do I need to go meet them and introduce myself so that we can have a really great working relationship? I'm going to organize my schedule. What's going to be the most strategic and effective way to organize my schedule for both me, the teachers, and my students? That takes time to sit and think through. You can't just throw that together. and when I will do my planning, how I'm going to create lessons, how I'm going to work on all of these things. Sit down and think through your system. Don't just like run headfirst into the school year and think it's going to be great. Like, make a plan. Okay, here's how I'm going to try data this year. Okay, this didn't work last year. What can I do better this year? How am I going to talk to parents? How am I going to handle parent interaction? All of those things, just like take a moment and just think, okay? And then start making a plan for success. Number 5, I put this as the hardest one. Although truly getting all your systems ready is really the hardest part of back to school. I know I lumped that up into a really quick little blurb, and I know that really is going to be your hardest part. Before we move on to number 5, I actually want to tell you a quick story about thinking through your systems. So my very first year of teaching, I told myself I was going to be like the best multitasking SLP. Everything I did was going to have a purpose. And so my incentive and my reward system was going to help students learn to manage money. And I would pay them in speech bucks. If they did good, here's $1 for Johnny, here's $1 for Susie. And then at the end of every month, they would get to spend their money at their speech treasure box or something like that. And we would get to earn prizes. So I sat down at the beginning of the year with my mom in my classroom, and I kid you not, I probably laminated $100 worth of speech book, 100 of like little dollar bills, laminated them and cut them out with my mom. It took hours. It was horrible because I didn't think through how this was actually going to work. If you've been a speech therapist for any amount of time, you can see where this is going. But if you're not, if you can't see it, let me break it down for you. So we were there for 30 minutes. I saw my kids 30 minutes once a week. I was so busy trying to focus on the 4 kids I had in my group and all of their goals that I never remembered to give them their speech bucks. Or they didn't care and it just didn't work. So then the end of the month came around and I had no prizes. I had nothing to give them because nobody had done anything. And I just had a pile of speech bucks, of $100 of speech bucks in my desk, sat there for 3 years that I never used because it was such a pain to keep track of, because I had so many more things that I needed to be doing than teaching kids how to count money, because I'm not their math teacher, I'm their speech pathologist. So did not go well. That system was not thought out well. I currently use my incentive system. Either I do nothing, I just expect my students to follow the rules and be good. Usually that works. Sometimes I use a dot system, which I can link up here in a video to show you about that. And then sometimes from articulation students, I do use candy. If they get a 90 or higher, they are allowed to get a piece of candy before they leave. And I find that incentive works pretty well. So it just kind of depends on the kid. And now I take a very individualized approach versus everybody's gonna get a speech buck and nobody got a speech buck. For the hardest one, the last one, number 5. And I want you just to get ready, go in with an open mind. Because number 5 is get in the right mindset. I hear and I understand all of the challenges that come, particularly with working in the public schools, but there are also just as many challenges working with insurance and working with parents and working in home health, and even working in private school has its own challenges. There's always going to be challenges. That's life, you know? So personally, I love the back to school season. I especially loved when I was at my public school, walking in after summer break, that first day back for training, and you can feel the camaraderie. Like all of us, me and my sped team, we were all really close, and just being like, we're in this together. Like, yeah, there's a lot of things that are really crummy about all of these situations, and we all know it, but we love our kids and we are here to give the best service to these kids that we can. And yeah, we've got limitations, but we've got a lot of things that we can give too. So yes, it's full of challenges, but the right mindset is really what's going to propel you to whether or not you have a crummy year or you have a great year. And I really truly believe that. So I have a few of my mindset mantras that I'm just going to read off right here on my computer, and you can just kind of think about them and tell them to yourself as you get ready to face this year. Okay. Number 1, I can do hard things. This is my life mantra, like my personal life mantra. I tell myself this constantly. Anything in the middle of a workout, heavier dumbbell, I can do hard things. My kid is really struggling with something and I need to mom super hard. I can do hard things. I'm going to try to figure out this TPT stuff. I can do hard things. I'm going to figure out YouTube. I can get better at YouTube. I can do hard things. So can you. Yeah, your school has no money. That's okay. You can do hard things. Yeah, all of these kids have behavior issues. That's okay, because you can do hard things. Okay, you don't have the materials and the supplies you need. That's okay. You're creative. You can do hard things. Okay? Another one. Done is better than perfect. Come in, do your best. It may not be perfect. Done is better than perfect. I am enough, and I am making a difference. Because I am, and so are you. You can do this. You are making a difference. Every student you see, it makes a difference in their life, and that is crazy powerful stuff. Okay? Every resource that I put out, I think this is one more kid that I can make a difference for. Every student that you teach, you're making a difference. One day at a time, one session at a time. One day at a time, one session at a time. Yes, it's hard. Just take it one thing at a time. Easiest to hardest, just like this list. Easiest to hardest, one thing at a time, and it'll get done and it'll be okay because you can do it, because you can do hard things. Okay? We are all doing our best with the resources given to us. That's number 5, my 5th mantra. And I think of this when I think of people who, either parents that I think are like, come on, they're doing their best, guys, with what they've been given, and we all have different resources and we all have different things that have been given to us. I really think parents are just doing their best with the resources they have. So that's where we can come in and give them more resources or give them new resources to help them. Or maybe it's a coworker that you're having issues with. They're doing their best too. We don't know what's going on in somebody's life outside of school or outside of work or outside of wherever it is that we see them. But they really are probably doing their best, because nobody comes in and says, yeah, I'm just gonna float through life and no, we all are doing our best. And I like to think that. So we're all doing the best with what we have. Sometimes we don't have a lot. Sometimes we have an abundance. We're all just doing the best we can. Okay, so like I said, this was my back to school list for SLPs. I hope you found it helpful and interesting, and I hope I gave you some things to think about as you prepare for back to school. Again, I've linked those resources I talked about in the description. If you would follow the channel, like the video, leave a comment, all of those things show YouTube that this channel was helpful and that it was good for you. So, and then it will share this content to more people. It's like the secret of YouTube. So if you could do any of those things, they don't cost you anything, they are free, but they would really help other people find this content. So I'm gonna let y'all go, and I will talk to you later.